Bethany from Bethan Books and welcome back to this Book Nook. I'm really excited that you made it here today because we're doing a 5-star prediction reflection video on the 5-star predictions that I made this time last year. I will be completely upfront and honest with you guys. I could not get my hands on 2 of those books from the original video, so I replaced them, but I'll talk about that more in the next section of this video. Friendly reminder, the chapters are down below, and whilst you're here, please consider leaving a cheeky like and subscribe. Thank you all so much. We just reached 800 subscribers as I'm filming this, and thank you, thank you, thank you. Well on track to the goal, and I'm so happy that this little community is growing and thriving. I appreciate every single one of you. Anyway, enough cheese. Let's get on with the video, shall we? Alright, so like I mentioned, a couple of books that were in my original 5-star predictions video I couldn't get my hands on, and those were, sorry guys, I'm just looking at my notes, those were Spicy Little Curses and Aphrodite Made Me Do It. I just couldn't find them anywhere. I ended up replacing those 2 books with The Inheritance Games and The Library of the Unwritten. Both books were actually ones that I had on a list for my next 5-star prediction video, so I just brought them forwards and read those instead. First and foremost, let's go with the OG ones. So, We Hunt the Flames, which I ended up buying a copy of because I loved it so much, was a 5-star prediction. I have mentioned this a couple of times. I've recommended it to people who love the enemy to lovers trope, and the reason why this one just was so brilliant is because of the cultural diversity that this book brought to my reading. It's always something I'm trying to work on, broadening the different author voices that I read from and the representation I see in books, not just from the LGBT community, but from ethnicities around the world. Hafsa Faisal herself is American Muslim, and she brings a lot of her Muslim culture and language into this novel, and it just makes it intriguing, interesting. It brings a level of difference to her work over other treasure huntery, enemy to lover fantasy novels. So this one was fantastic. The next one I also have a copy of is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. The little tabs in it are because they're just left over from the Bethan Books book club. Why did that take me so long to find the word? If you didn't know, I do host a really informal, chill little book club over on Instagram. I'll be sure to leave the link down below for you, Beth_and_book club, and this was our May read, and this was phenomenal for reasons I didn't actually anticipate. I thought going into this it was going to be just interesting, but this was so character driven, which is not something I normally like, but Gail Honeyman is a fantastic character writer. I thought Eleanor was such a curiosity, such a gem to read about, such an anti-hero. Like, she definitely has habits and ways of looking at the world which one would normally associate with rudeness, but instead Honeyman encourages us to look at things from other people's perspectives and not just jump to conclusions. You don't know what people have gone through, so this was just another great 5-star read. An OG book from the OG list though that did let me down was Gideon the Ninth. I gave this one only 3 stars. 3 stars isn't the worst rating from me. It just means I might consider it, I might recommend it to you if it sounds right up your alley, but generally I would just say it was fine. It wasn't absolutely fantastic. I think with this one, my expectation was for there to be a lot more romance, and there wasn't. And that's on me. I don't know where I picked up that expectation. Maybe because I am too familiar with associating LGBT books with romance books, and I overlook this idea, being vulnerable with you guys, I overlook the idea that you can have platonic LGBT relationships. So that's something I've taken on board and learned. However, it still meant the book for me was a little bit anticlimactic. The treasure hunting, treasure's not really the right word. There's a obstacle course that the characters have to go through, and it was just a little bit flat for me. So then we'll go to the two that I added into this list. The one that met my expectation was The Inheritance Games. This was a cover-to-cover read, and one of those books I wish I could reread again for the first time. In the way that Gideon the Ninth's obstacles and riddles to solve were just, for some reason, didn't do it for me. The Inheritance Games, did it for me so well. It was so fast-paced, and the actual situation where our main character is in a house full of people who hate her or suspect her of foul play because essentially she's trying to find the way to win all of this person's money. It's a whole thing. The whole thing just made it that much more high stakes. It made it more exciting for me, and like I said, cover to cover read. The imagery, the world building, it had me in a film the whole time. From cover to cover, I think I literally only stopped to go to the bathroom. Phenomenal. Honestly, if you like books with game elements, Hunger Games kind of vibes, pick this up. Less death than the Hunger Games, but you know what I mean. And then we have the Library of the Unwritten. I really loved the premise of this book in that we have a character whose job it is to make sure characters in books don't come to life. Do you get me? And I really loved that element of it. So 4 stars for this. The reason it didn't quite make 5 stars for me was that it was slow. With books that have a hunt me down element to it or a overcome obstacles element to it, it's really important to me that the pace is gripping. I don't feel like a slow meandering pace works terribly well with intense situations. So yeah, honestly, not too bad. Not all 5 out of 5. But more than 50% of them got 5 out of 5. So honestly, I'm not too mad at that first attempt to do some 5-star predictions, which is a beautiful segue into my next 5-star predictions. Alrighty, the first one we have here is Challenger Deep by Neal Shusterman. This book I picked up in sale, and it has Shusterman's name on it. Now, Shusterman has written the Scythe, it's kind of hiding over here, the Scythe series. Finn, you still need to get me book 1 back. But yes, and I just loved Shusterman's writing style. And so when I saw this on sale, I picked it up, and the blurb just seems fascinating. The premise is that our main character is in this ship called the Challenger Deep, which is going to the deepest point of Earth possible, and our main character, what was his name? Caden. His job is to be like the scribe, the journaler, the person who records everything that happens. But he's also that was anticlimactic. Hang on, let me try that again. But he's also somewhat of an artist. So there's these pieces of art that are woven throughout the book, and I'm just fascinated to see a young adult novel with pictures in it again. I always say I want more books with pictures in it. But it also sounds like our main character Caden is kind of torn between mutiny and loyalty, and just from the Scythe series, I think Shusterman dealt really well with having discussions upon the topic of like morality, and I'm really looking forward to it. And also it's short, so I'm hoping it's snazzy. Next on here is Felix Ever After. Okay, first of all, the cover is bloomin' amazing. Like, you can't deny that this is gorgeous. This just sounds like a real eye-opener, again adding to different perspectives. Felix is a black, queer, transgender male, and essentially he's in high school when people, I mean, it's a hate crime in my eyes, cyberbully and post pictures of him before he transitioned with his dead name. So the name he was born with rather than self-gave. And it kind of means that he's in this position which talks about rights and how people in the LGBT sphere, especially if you're black, are marginalised. And then there's also a romance thread in the fact of there being some sort of love triangle. So I'm just excited for this for the pure fact of it being a perspective that I have never read from before, as well as having some eye-opening, you know, realizations about what it's like for some people in the world. We then have Furyborn by Claire Legend, which is a book I have had my eye on for a hot minute. It's a YA fantasy, a genre I love, but also increasingly a genre that I don't get many 5 stars out of, because the more I read, the more familiar those kind of stories are to me, and the harder it is for there to be something new brought to the table. However, this one just, it sounds different. She's just built different. So we have our character called Riel. I'm going to say Riel for now. And she turns out to be a prophesied Sun Queen. But to prove that she is who she says she is, she has to go through like 7 deadly trials. 7 deadly trials. So again, that kind of game element I love. I'm kind of hoping I was just talking about originality, but I'm hoping it gives me similar vibes to Throne of Glass, because the reason I loved that book and why I think it's still one of my favourite in the series is because of the assassin tasks that, I can't even remember her name, the main character in that series had to go through. So I'm hoping I just love seeing characters grow through challenge. But then it sounds like it's a split perspective, because then we have someone called Eliana who is 1,000 years in the future, so a big time difference there. And just, there's no way I can summarise this better than the blurb. As Riel and Eliana fight in a cosmic war that spans millennia, their stories intersect and there's some shocking connections between them, which ultimately determine the fate of the world and of each other. So I'm sure there's going to be some cliches, but I'm kind of hoping just the pace is right up my alley. We then have Yoke by Mary H.K. Choi, and this is actually a 2021 release that has been on my radar ever since I read Permanent Record and, what's the other book? Emergency Contact. And I loved both of those by Mary H.K. Choi, and so I just wanted to read whatever she puts out in the world, really. This book sounds sad. We have Jane and June, each of them sisters to each other. One of them is kind of living a mediocre university fashion degree life. They're not really enthralled with the direction they're going in. The other is glitzy glamour, but ends up getting cancer, and because of that, the sisters come together, support each other. And so what used to be like estranged siblings or just something was between them, they come together. So again, character growth, and sometimes I like those hard-hitting novels, you know, and I think it'll be 5 stars simply because of who wrote it. And then the last one on this list is another YA fantasy that I think I added to Goodreads like 5 years ago. Wait, does that even make sense? Yeah, it was published in 2014, and that is Red Rising. This book has intrigued me ever since I read the line, hang on, let me find you. Darrow is a red, a member of the lowest caste in the colour-coded society of the future. And honestly, that line is enough for me. But then the blurb goes on to say that this is set in Mars, right? And the Reds are kind of the ones who are helping colonize the planet. And then they're all like, yeah, we're going to live horrible lives, you know, mining, blah, 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 so that our children can be on the surface and live good lives until they discover the higher castes are living the good life. And then there's like riots and stuff. So again, you can probably see a theme that I'm always interested in books with some sort of societal conflict in them between different castes, because I always think it's interesting to read about, even if it's fictional, seeing how different levels of society work. And then aside from that, I'm just excited to read about a young gentleman being like, screw the system, revolt, mutiny, and all of that good stuff. So, I hope you enjoyed the video, team. Those are my 5-star prediction reflections, as well as my new 5-star predictions. I am planning on actually making 2 reading vlogs to go like alongside this, so I'll put them in the same playlist if you're watching through the playlist. I'm going to do a vlog reading 2 of the books and then a vlog reading 3 of the books, just so we can experience them together, you know. But anyway, that's enough chatter from me. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy all the places you go in your own reading adventures, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!
Spinning the wheel for my beautiful subscribers.
Alright, team. I feel like I say this every time I spin the wheel, but she's still broken. I'm really looking into how I can upgrade her from cardboard to like maybe a little bit of what's it called? The thin wood stuff. Yeah, builder terms. But it's just not happened. So here we are. Right, spinning the wheel for you. Name in the title. So you are prompted to read a book with the character's name or a place name in the title. Let me know what comes up for you. All right, bye-bye.